To save the future, the past must be sacrificed. Gaze into the abyss.
Twin and dazzling display of survival.
How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about Molten Strike of the Zenith and how I've used this ability from League start all the way until killing Uber Maven and doing Simulacrum 30. So I'm going to go through literally everything. The passive skill tree, what abilities I've been using, the links, how I've crafted each piece of gear, whether you need Mageblood or Nimis to actually kill Uber bosses, is it possible without them, all that kind of stuff. So first of all, I just want to get out of the way. What content can it do? It can kill Uber bosses. I've killed Uber Maven deathless. There'll be a little highlight there of that attempt there. I will say Exarch's quite difficult if you're not very good at the game like me. I have killed him, but it did take me a few portals. The ball phase is pretty rough because our defenses aren't insane if we're not hitting things. So I mean, if you're good at the game, this boss can definitely kill everything without Mageblood or Nimis. It will just take you a lot longer and be way more difficult, but it is possible. Yep, Simulacrum Wave 30 wasn't a problem. If I use this flask here and we just bang it in there, I mean our chaos is up to 61. Like if you're above 50, you should be fine. If you're below that, you might need to get a bit more gear. Yeah. So the defensive layers are pretty good when you take into account how much damage we actually have. So we're spell suppressed capped here. We have about 5k life. We can 4.8. We can go a bit higher, but I've opted for a bit more damage. And we're ailment immune with purity of elements. We can't be stunned with the Berserker node here. We have 4 endurance stacks. We're fully fortified, and we can also get immunity to bleeding corrupted blood with our flasks here. We can get one with poison immunity if you want as well. So yeah, in terms of Pantheons, we can use Solar Lunaris for mapping. It's really good. This is also really good for mapping, especially when there's a poison affix on the map. You can also use this for bossing, for bosses that do a lot of physical damage. But to be fair, most abilities that are going to kill you are elemental, like on Shaper's Beams for the elemental. A lot of stuff that Maven does is tri-elemental. A lot of the physical things, like if you're in melee range and you're not going to get one shot by a melee hit, and then you'll leech back up to full before you get hit again. So as long as you have like a baseline of physical defense, you don't need to go over the top. You can take this as well, but this is what I really like taking, just because of the reduced elemental damage if you've been hit recently. That's really good for Uber bosses in my opinion. Obviously you can take this because it works with one nearby target. But the elemental thing won't work because you will be hit a lot. Like our dodge isn't great. We have got some because we are running Grace, so I mean, we have some evasion. Like this much evasion is actually really useful because it does stop more than half of damage coming towards us. So it is worth having. And our armor obviously isn't that high, but we have endurance charges fortify. Base armor isn't really important as long as you're not like as long as you don't have 0 armor, you're fine. See, as I said before, I league started with this guy. I was playing normal Molten Strike with 2 one-handed swords just because I like the way it looks. It's not the best to be doing. Like, it's obviously better with a claw and a shield, but I like the way it looks and the way it feels, like the guy swinging the swords and that. So I went with that, and I got all the way up to Ubers. I killed everything on all the bosses on normal, not Uber version with that build. And then I switched over to this build, which was quite an easy switch, just because you obviously have all the sword nodes here. I mean, you only have like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 nodes to do with swords, and you don't have to change anything because I was using. The only thing you have to get extra is this when you go back to two-handed. These nodes are really broken. So we got that. What else is there? So yeah, switching was really easy. To go on to the subjects of playable without these two, it is playable. You would use a Stygian Vise here, and you would just use a normal ring, something like this here, with some elemental damage on it, some life, preferably the reduced mana costs, because this costs a lot of mana, 31 mana. But I'm not going to lie to you, playing with Mageblood this league isn't too hard because it's under 100 divs now. I mean, I got this for 150, so a bit scammed, but you can play with 100 div or less heavy belt Mageblood, and then this rings at like 45 div to 50 div. This is probably more impactful than Mageblood for this build, honestly. It literally doubles your damage. Instead of firing out 15 bolts, you fire out 30. It's literally double damage. You lose a tiny bit of life and all that, but it's completely worth it. It's the core of this build pretty much. And like I said, you can play without it, but your bosses will just die twice as slow, and if you're happy to do that, you have to do more mechanics than that, but you can, like, you're not going to get one shot playing this build, but it's not the tankiest build either. Like, you can't just tank everything, you have to know how to play a little bit. So in terms of the gear we got here, so this helmet, right, I think this costs like 5 div maybe. It's really good, to be fair. I mean, the things you're looking for in a helmet is suppress spell damage, so you can get 100% suppress. You're looking for accuracy because you'll need a bit of accuracy with our skill tree, life, and then a prefix open to craft on fizz damage taking us fire, right? I mean, the mana reservation's nice. We don't need it for this build. Like, if I took that off, I would still have enough mana to cast my skill, so it's fine. I mean, that's just an added bonus, but you don't need that. And the crown is really good with the cold damage because we're running Secrets of Suffering, right? So we want the brittle to be proccing, and that is a substantial amount of cold damage to be added on. And the helmet implicits from what they call these two fellas. Let's see, from the Eater of Worlds and the Searing Exarch aren't the best. I mean, they're good, but this is just way better. Yeah. So onto the weapon. This isn't really craftable unless you spend a lot of currency, so I would just advise buying something with spell suppress, open prefix, and some life, and some accuracy if possible. Like the armor, the evasion energy shield isn't really important. So for the weapon, I made this one myself. I got pretty lucky. All you're going to want to do is get a two-handed sword. You're going to want, let me see here, you're going to want Exquisite Blade for 50% crit multi, or you want Banishing Blade for crits, ignore elemental resistance, right? But the Banishing Blade, on the market, there's like none with fraction mods on them. So you really want to get this one because it comes with fraction mods, so it's much easier to craft. I mean, if you can bag yourself a Banishing Blade with some good rolls on it, like natural, then that's fine. That's really good. And like the base is way better than this one, but this is the best base that can roll a fraction mod. So we go for attack speed here. You can go with attack speed or crit, and then you're going to just keep smacking it with fire, lightning, or cold essence tier 1 until you hit a tier 1 LE mod. That's going to be obviously something you don't have. So for me, I was spamming the cold, and I got tier 1 fire, right? And then you're going to want to hit a tier 1 mods on prefix, and you're going to try and hit a tier 1 mod on suffix as well. So this is like the cheaper craft, so you're just going to keep spamming fire or cold or lightning on it. Okay, bang, you got a tier 1 of the other elemental thing, and then you just need another tier 1 or tier 2. So for me, I got tier 1 fire, and I got the tier 2 crit, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I crafted on elemental pen, and that's done. The accuracy is obviously useless, but having a 5 good mod weapon is really good anyway. Like, if you want to spend like 50 divines, you can. This probably overall cost me about 5 divines to craft. I got pretty lucky. A lot of people think you need 3 elemental damage mods on prefix. You don't. You only need 2, especially if they're high rolled. You really only need 2, and you get if you craft this on, it's really good. It's like, I think it's the same as a tier 3 or tier 2 elemental mod, and it's good for bosses as well. But you just need the attack speed, and make sure you have attack speed and crit for sure. Like, crit multi is also good, but if you're not getting, if you just want more crit until you hit crit cap. So yeah, this is a really good sword, and then obviously you can just link it yourself, which isn't too much currency. Moving on to the chest armor then. I got this quite early league, so I was pretty lucky with this one. You need something with high spell suppress again, some life, and additional physical damage reduction is really good as well. So those 3 mods, I mean, physical damage reduction is quite hard to get on the armor evasion base, but it is possible. Obviously, like this thing cost me like 2 divine. This is really cheap at the start of the league, and then you have to have a prefix open to craft the taken as elemental damage, because that's really important. Like I said, our armor isn't insane, right? So we want to be taking as much damage as elemental because of our flasks. Yeah. So that's that, and then you obviously have the two implicits there, which the determination one's OP, the crit multi's OP. You can do different things on here as well. You can do the flat armor, flat evasion. What else can you get on here? You can get some decent ones, but I think these are the best. For rings, you need some. Ideally, you want one with chaos res. If you're doing certain bosses that don't do chaos damage, say like a Maven or Elder or something like that, or Shaper, don't worry about chaos res. You can go fucking minus 60 chaos res if you want, and you'll be fine. But for me, I don't want to get one shot in every map I go into, so just try and get in a 0% chaos res. And you really want a prefix open for this one ring, because these two won't be able to have this craft on it. So you need the mana craft, so you need the prefix open, you want to have life, and you're going to need intelligence on this ring here, so you can cast so you can use concentrate effect support. Otherwise you won't have enough intellect to use it, or intelligence to use it. If you can, like me, try and get an amethyst ring, get a chaos res roll on it, get intelligence roll on it, and a tier 1 or tier 2 anything, elemental damage or elemental damage to attacks, or just the standard like percent elemental damage is also good. With Mageblood, you don't need good like elemental resistances on your gear, because you can just abuse these 3 flasks with purity of elements here, and you'll be like easily capped like that. If you don't have Magebloods, then you still want to use these 3 flasks, and during mapping especially, they'll be up permanently. But you're going to need more res, because you want to be res capped without these flasks active. At the moment, if I take these flasks off, I think I'm at like, yeah, so I would need 25 more of everything, which isn't that much, considering I could just have that on my belt, right, and it'll be fine. Like I'd be res capped, but you don't want to res cap yourself with flasks, because there's one mod like some kind of thief something, it will kill you if you lose your flasks if you're not elemental capped, and it's just kind of annoying. So I'd really advise doing that. But yeah, so for the ring you need the life, the intelligence, the elemental damage, 1 res, and have the prefix open for mana craft. This isn't too expensive. Yeah, you don't even need the elemental damage, you just need the mana, the life, and the intelligence. That's mandatory. So for the gloves, you can do what I've done. You can get a fractured attack speed, it's really good, or anything really. Fractured to suppress is fine as well. Base doesn't matter, you just need an evasion base to get the suppress. And then just get whatever suppress you need to be 100%. Like I could have obviously got higher, but I only needed 8% to cap myself, so I went for the cheaper option. This is probably like 5 divine or less at this point. A lot of this gear is 5 divine around or higher, because I mean we're like a month or so into the league, and this league's been easy to get currency, so this is the kind of gear you would have at this point. I think most people that play quite a lot. So you will want an elemental damage on one of your prefixes and life, and then obviously for your suffix you'll have attack speed fractured, so then you're going to want a tier 1 res and suppress. For this though, it's very much, you don't need to craft this, you can just go on the trade site, and all you need is the attack speed, suppress, and life, and then whatever resistances you need to cap. The only reason I crafted on increased damage is because I have Mageblood. If you have Mageblood, that craft's really broken, like really good, way better than everything else. But like I said, the only things you need is suppress and res and life. The rest is all just extra damage that you can get when you have the currency. I know I said everything's 5 div plus, pretty much, but at the same time you can make that way cheaper if you remove some of the damage mods that are also on here. Like if you just go for the defensive stuff, it's way cheaper, and the damage isn't that important. Like you can skip some uber boss mechanics and that, but if you're decent at the game you can just dodge them anyway. I'm not very good, so I need to kind of compensate. And I mean, I've farmed the currency, so I'm going to use the currency on gear I want to use, right? So obviously you have a Mageblood here. If you don't have a Mageblood, you can use a Stygian Vise. I think I have one in my stash here. Let me have a look. A really good one like this, right? This obviously is really good. I got this for cheap early on as well, and now it's worth way more. But you don't need the percent life roll on this, right? You would just want max life, 2 resistances or 3, and elemental damage of attack skills. That's it. I mean, that would be really good, yeah. So life, res, damage of attacks, elemental damage, and then for the socket you would put in 3 rolls with like a, let me see here, like something like this, right? So any of the elemental damages with attacks or with swords, and then max life is what you'd want in there, and that makes a pretty damn good belt. Then you want Nimis, like I said before, doubles your damage, insane ring. It does leave you a bit short on the old attributes and elemental res, so if you can't afford something like this, which is fine, like if you're just starting out, you can go for something something similar to this. You're probably, yeah, you're going to want obviously a bit of attributes, and then just resistances, the less mana cost would be really good, and life, and then you can have some kind of elemental damage, like I said, the 3 elemental damages or the percent elemental damage. And now one thing I use that is like other people don't use a lot, that I've seen doing like strike skills anyway, this amulet is really insane, I think, because it gives you, it is unique, which is kind of annoying, but it gives you the attributes you need, so you're not completely scuffed on intelligence, which is good. And obviously you don't use max energy shields, because that's a dead stat, but you do have life. It has life, which is a big win, and the biggest thing is it gives you purity of elements, right, with no reservation. That is insane, because it literally gives you, because you have the real estate here with the sockets, you can get an extra 40% all res, and the biggest thing is you're immune to ailments, right? So mapping becomes 5 million times nicer. You're not getting frozen all the time, you're not getting ignited, you're not getting shocked, you're not getting slapped about, mate, you're not getting stuns. You don't need to take this to stop yourself getting shocked, like to get frozen. It's super quality of life, and it's not that much worse than other ones. If you really, I mean, I would always take this, like it's so nice. It's not that expensive either. If you yeah, you can either get one for determination, also you can get one for grace. Just any of the auras you use has no reservation, and you can get a free aura. It's really good because we have the space in the sockets to use it. And then for the anoint, we use Force of Nature, because we're going to take this natural here. Normally I would anoint multi-shot, but considering I'm going up past here, and I want this, the additional nearby enemy, I need to take all these nodes, which is fine. And so we just take that, because that's the second best damage node we can have that we haven't already taken. Is that all my gear? Yeah. So I'm just going to go over flasks, and then I'll open up a PoB, and then we can have a look at the tree. So for flasks, we can use this life flask here that gets rid of the bleeding and corrupted blood. Same thing everyone always uses. Then for these are all up in the air. All you need these 3. These 3 are mandatory, right, with Mageblood at least. Just because of the less damage taken, you get 39% less elemental damage taken with these flasks. Now this one is up in the air. You just really want something with flat armor percent. So see here, like increased armor during effect. That's what you want. And then you can use it on anything. Like I have these 2 here. I think this one's better for mapping because it just makes you faster. You can attack faster as well. This one's, I think, is better for bossing just because it makes you a little bit more tanky. Like you have 30,000 armor instead of 17,000. But it doesn't really matter. Like I said, you're going to take a lot of damage from elemental. Yeah. This one you can use if you just want to go faster through maps. But this is honestly just so safe. You go fast enough, you don't really need anything else. And then if you have a map that does chaos damage, or you're doing Uber Cyrus, you just pop that on there. You nearly cap your chaos res, and you become curse immune. So that's good too. You can also roll this just so it has armor as well. So then it's the same as this one, just you have insane chaos res. If you don't have Mageblood, you still want to use these 3. You want to do the same thing. Your armor's just going to be slightly worse. And on bosses, you're going to need to have crit rolls on all of these, and when you're damage taken. So let me just see here, crit. Where is it? So you can either use gain 2 charges or gain 3 charges, ideally when you're hit by an enemy. You can buy these off the trade site for quite cheap now, with this where we are in the league. Or you want the gain a flash charge when you critical strike, because you're going to be critical striking all the time. But they don't stack, like you can't gain all of them at the same time. It's going to proc 1, proc 1, proc 1, proc 1. But if you're hitting a lot, you're just going to keep going all the way up to the top. And then you can craft on where is it? You can craft on this here. Use when where is it? This one when they reach full. So that pretty much, it gives you a fake Mageblood. when you're hitting. It is worse on bosses, like I said, especially on bosses like Maven, where sometimes you're standing there doing nothing, or especially on Exarch, where you're like running around, running away from balls. You can hit the Minotaur, but when he's not nearby, you're not gaining Flask charges, so you have to be quite careful with that. But to be fair on that boss, you only need to always have your fire res Flask up. Like you wouldn't use these two on Exarch, so he doesn't do anything that's not fire damage. So I mean, flasks are really important. Like you want to think about what content you're doing, and if you need them. Like you need this for Simulacrum 30, right? Because all the mods that roll chaos. If you're going into a Simulacrum with -7 chaos res, you're just going to die. Bang that on, and you're fine. Over 50%, you're fine. So now I think I can go into the PoB. I can't go into the PoB. I completely forgot my boot slot. So here are the boots. You can craft these yourself if you want. I just bought these, but you just get spell suppress fracture, and then you spam a life essence until you get some decent rolls. But for me, a lot of the time you can, especially on the trade site, people don't look for stuff without movement speed rolls. So if you can look for something with an open prefix with some life and some res, and then just craft on movement speed yourself. For me, this wasn't too expensive. I think, like I said, around 5 divine, just because it's got good rolls. Everything's tier 2 or above. I mean, you can get this worse. Like if you don't get the armor and evasion roll, which doesn't really do much for you, what it does, it gives you like 80 evasion, 80 armor, not relevant really. So you could get this without that. You can get a bit less spell suppress if you get spell suppress on your tree somewhere. I mean, just craft on movement speed. You just need the at least 20% movement speed, at least like 70 life, and whatever res you need to cap your res. Like I could get chaos res on here and it'd be way better, but it's just more expensive, and I don't do much content that needs chaos res. For the implicits, you want the increased action speed. It's really good. It makes you run faster as well. And then the other implicit, the Eater of Worlds one, you can literally use anything. Like I just settled for this. Like it doesn't make much difference. Like the physical damage is elemental, is really small damage, so I just went with this. Makes mapping a bit easier. I think that is everything. Just confirm it. Oh, okay. So the implicits on the gloves, inflict cold exposure is insanely good. Like it's an extra 3 million damage or something like that. With this build, you do actually end up doing more cold damage than fire, even though you're using Molten Strike for whatever reason. I think it's because of this and Trinity. And I use added cold damage on the weapon here, so that's why. So this is really good. And I think there's somewhere in our tree or something gives us more fire pen. For whatever reason, cold pen's just really good on PoB, and then attack speed as well. You can also get hits an additional enemy with a strike skill if you want, but because we're running this, it's not really mandatory. Like it feels fine when you're mapping, like really fine, and because you're using a two-handed weapon, you've got quite a long range. So yeah, now I can go on to the PoB. Welcome to the PoB part of the video. I'm going to start off with the configuration just so you guys can see what we're working with here. So we have power charges from a charm, we have frenzy from a mastery, we have endurance from enduring cry, we have blitz charges from being berserker, we have onslaught from our flask, we are fortified from a charm, we have rage at 60 because we're a berserker, we're leeching because of a jewel. We have flasks, we're Mageblood. We can also have flasks just generally without a Mageblood, pretty much 100% uptime as well. Number of enemies is 1 because we're fighting a boss. I mean sometimes it's 2 or 3 obviously with adds, but we can just assume it's 1 at this point. Have you crit recently? Yes, because we have 96% chance. Have we been hit recently? Yes, because we're fighting something, and it would just keep hitting us, so we can assume that's 5, at least 5. We'll be in Blood Stance because we're Blood Stance because it's brilliant for Molten Strike. Our resonance count for Trinity will be 50 because we have really high fire and cold damage. These two don't matter, you just need 2 high elemental damages that are similar. So that's what we have and it works. Projectile travel distance will be 10 because we're running concentrated effect, which makes Molten Strike travel less, and that means it does more damage due to this here, point blank. So it's brilliant because it makes every ball hit the boss as well. We have scorched, brittle, and sapped. We have intimidated from this node here. I get these numbers here. These are from PoB themselves. They're accurate because we can get the calculations. Magma balls fifth attack. Obviously this happens 3 times a second, so we can assume this number is always going to be correct. The scorch effect, it says on here, is 24% for a pinnacle boss. I've been safe and put 23. It says the brittle effect is 5.6, so I put 5 just to be safe. And the sap, it says, is 6%. I put 5 just to be safe. So that confirms all of this is accurate, and I'm not kind of scamming anyone or faking anything or making stuff look better or worse than it is. I'm not ticking anything random. This is what we'll have against the boss. Right, we go to skills. Our first 6 link is as follows. Trinity, as I said before, is proccing because we have 2 high elemental damages. You don't need 3, you only need 2 to be able to get 50 resonance, which is really good. So we also have greater multiple projectiles, so we have more projectiles. This is really good. You can get awakened for like 60 divines, which is even better. That's 5 additional projectiles and less of a penalty, but it is really expensive. Big increase this because it's 4 additional projectiles, but we have Nimis, so it's actually 8 additional. It does make your PoB damage here look worse, but of course that's irrelevant because we'll have an extra 8 projectiles, which overall means we'll have like an extra 12 million DPS just from this one thing. It's really good. Like it does obviously make on PoB, like I said, it looks, oh look, 38 million, that's better. But with this active we get an extra 8 projectiles, so it's way better. This is really good. Added cold damage, so we can get a high effect of brittle, and we can get our resonance to 50 easily. If we didn't have brittle, right, say our cold damage was way less and we had, say, 3 effects of brittle, because our cold damage is low, we lose 4 million DPS and over 15% crit chance. That's why cold damage is really important. It does a lot of damage and it gives us high brittle chance, which is amazing. Multi-strike, you can get awakened multi-strike for a lot of divines, like 100 divines. It will make you do more damage than normal multi-strike, but multi-strike is required for this build. It's required for like every strike skill pretty much. And then concentrate effect is brilliant with Molten Strike because it means every single ball you fire off will hit the boss. If you don't use this, it can be, if the boss is really small, the balls just fly out, completely miss the boss and fly back in, right? So you're missing all your balls. So with this, it means even if the boss is small, you're hitting every ball on the boss, and it makes you do more damage also. This is really good with, where is it? Blood and Sand, just because you'll be in Blood Stance, which means you get even more damage from the area of the balls, and they have even less area effect, which means the balls travel even less distance, which is great for point blank, which is like, and this here. So it's all working in really good synergy. So that's that, and we want all the qualities and levels like maxed out pretty much. For Molten Strike of the Zenith, you can either have level 21 here and quality 20, or level 20 and quality 22 or 23. Doesn't matter, they're both the same pretty much. It's really hard to find a high level and high quality Molten Strike of the Zenith, like there's none on the trade site because not many people play the skill. So if you can pick one up, do. If you can't, just go with something like this because they literally don't really exist. So none of these are links. This is just a basic skill. So you've got Blood Rage. You want that to be quality 20 because you get the extra attack speed. Ancestral Protect is really good. Bang, look, 5 million DPS just from the attack speed. So if you're against like essences, harvest monsters, bosses that are immune, pop one down just before they come back available, and you have the massive extra attack speed without having to waste a cooldown on it. Berserk's pretty much permanent because every time you're actually in range of a boss, you're going to be using this charm here. So you'll have an instant 25 rage at least. If you use it when the boss is on when you're on 24 rage and you use it, you'll go up to 49 rage and then instant frenzy, which is really really good obviously. So you'll have Berserk. You'll have Berserk up nearly permanently when you're actually on the boss, because obviously a lot of bosses have these immune phases and things like that where you're dodging abilities. So when you're actually in melee range of the boss, you can use Berserk. So your Blood Rage is permanent. Purity of the Elements is a free aura because of the amulet, as we said before, which is brilliant. This is our second 6th link, either on the weapon or the chest, whichever the other one isn't on. Blood and Sand, brilliant, like I said before. Makes the balls travel less distance. high chance of hitting the boss, and makes you do more area damage with the boss. Defiance Banner is great purely because it reduces the amount of damage you take from crits. So when a boss crits you with something, or a strong essence monster crits you with something, less chance of one-shotting you. Precision for the attack speed and crit, really good. High base accuracy there. And then Val Grace, just because it's better than normal grace. You have normal grace all the time, obviously. If you're in trouble, just use enable Val Grace. It's up for 6 seconds, and you have a way higher chance of dodging everything and living. Enlighten, simply because it makes all these so you can actually use your skills, and then Determination to be more tanky. Enlighten level 3 is only like 2 or 3 divine, so it's really easy to get now. But if for some reason you can't get it, just drop Defiance Banner and you'll be fine on the mana front. But I would really advise getting it because it's really helpful. Makes it feel a lot smoother, and it's not very expensive anymore. As for this, you want Val Molten Shell bound with cast when damage taken. You want this to be level 1 and that to be level 10, so it activates this as like the prime levels. If you mess around with that and think like, oh, this might be better, it won't be, because Val Molten Shell will not cast properly. So cast when damage taken, if it's higher level than this, like it all gets messed up pretty much. I don't really know how to explain it, but there's certain breakpoints where people have found out this is the best kind of breakpoint you want to be using. Like if Val Molten Shell's level 20 and this is level 1, it just won't activate because Val Molten Shell will be too high level. So it will just be completely worthless. This is like the highest level you can get Val Molten Shell with them both working together. So you want these two links. You do not want Frostblink linked with cast and damage taken, alright? If you link these two, when you get hit, you'll randomly Frostblink in different directions, and you won't be able to use it yourself. It's really bad. So do not link these two. Only link Val Molten Strike and cast and damage taken. Also, keep Frostblink as low level as possible, just so you need less intelligence requirement to use it. You don't use it for damage, you just use it to blink. Having a higher level doesn't make the cooldown any better. Or you just simply need it to have it to blink around. Like the higher level you have it, like I said, the intelligence goes up, and say you have it at level 20 for some reason, you don't have enough intelligence to use it. So you can keep it at level 1, level 5, anything below your intelligence. Yeah. So for the last links, you have Sniper's Mark linked with Life Tap and Mark on hit. All these are linked pretty much, that's fine. For Sniper's Mark, you want quality 20 because it's like an extra 1,000,000 damage, as you can see on the side. There you go. Combined DPS is up 1,000,000 if you have that at quality 20. You need this linked to a Mark on hit and Life Tap. If you don't have Life Tap linked, it costs a lot of mana. So when you hit anything, you'll lose 30 mana. You'll lose 30 mana from casting Molten Strike, and you'll literally have 0 mana, and you won't be able to regen it quickly. Because you'll just be literally using your basic attack. You won't have enough mana. So you need to have Life Tap so you don't drain your mana to 0 instantly. And then Leap Slam can just link with these, so it's free. It doesn't cost you any mana. Sniper's Mark is really good, and like I said, the quality is really important. So like regarding the actual skill tree, we start here obviously. We go around, pick all the life nodes. We get the jewels that are closest to us. Like that. We need this for accuracy and crit. We need this for life. This is brilliant. So we can put our cry on the left click, so it just automatically does it. There's no cast time. There's no clunkiness. It's like really smooth. You permanently have endurance charges. You're permanently healing yourself. You permanently have, you have a good time. You don't have to mess around with this. You just literally put on your left click and forget about it, and you're doing good. It gives you a lot of good stuff. This really worth the point. And obviously it puts us near the life, which is good too. Then this just for mana reservation. This so we can get our frenzy charges and our crit multi. And then life here, free endurance charge, free jewel, all nice and close. This is really good. Triple damage on our 5th attack, if you're lucky, is insanely good because obviously your massive burst damage is tripled, which is so good because it triples every single ball you fire with that attack, even the returns. While on top of the life mastery here, 30% of mana cost, which is amazing because realistically you want it so every time you hit, you can hit twice before you run out of mana, right? So you need your mana cost to be less than half of this, which just about is with this mastery here. If you don't have that, it can be a bit clunky if something stops you leeching instantly, or you use another ability. So say you strike and put a tome down at the same time, or strike and berserk at the same time. Your mana goes a bit janky, and it kind of messes up the flow. So this is like really quality of life. You can play without this, but I would say it's much easier to just use the point and make it a lot more smoother. Yeah. So we got here, we come down here. Obviously we take this cluster here. This is really mandatory, amazing. This is because everything is close to us, so this is pretty much just a straight up 30% more damage because of concentrated effect and blood stance. So this is like literally really fucking good. And then obviously life, you can come here and get spell suppress if you need it. This is quite good, only if you need it though. Obviously it's 2 points, so if you don't need it, don't use it. Crit multi, really good. Elemental damage, really good. This is super good, especially against Uber bosses, which just pretty much means every 25% chance when you hit, they don't have any resistances. It's really good. Yeah, especially against bosses. This just gives you crit with swords, really good. Crit multi. If you have a low crit chance, I obviously have quite a high crit chance, so I don't need it. But if I did have a low crit chance, this right here is really good. But if you do have a high crit chance, that's me, it's bad because you lose the crit multi. But if you do need a lot, it's really good. It will increase your damage by quite a bit. Obviously life here, we come up, crit multi. Crit multi is really good. That's how we scale our damage. Spell suppress because it's the most efficient on the tree for spell suppress chance, and you get obviously the less damage taken from spells here. It's really good. This helps you cap out spell suppress, which is really important. Here we take obviously all of these because we need this attack mastery here. So we want to take this if we're mapping because it makes everything way smoother. Like you can hit stuff pretty much twice. It's like really good, like pretty mandatory. It's like if you don't have this whilst you're mapping, it's kind of a bit annoying. Like it makes everything much smoother. If you don't have it, you can still play it obviously. This just makes it easier. And this is really good for bosses because they'd be permanently intimidated, which makes you do more damage. Due to this, we anoint Forces of Nature because we don't want to go 1, 2, 3. We don't want to use 4 points for it. We can use none just for the anoint, which is really good because this is the second best after multi-shot. And then we have this. Remember, this is very important. Do not cap your spell suppress with this on full life thing because you're never really on full life. You're always going below, healing up, below, healing up. Like the time you're at full life is really low. So in reality, if you use this to cap your spell suppress, you'll actually be at 90 spell suppress, which is really bad. You need to be at 100% because at 90% you're getting hit by spells all the time. You get unlucky, you don't suppress, it crits and you're dead insta. You just need to you need to cap your spell suppress without using this on here. And then obviously you take the free jewel here and the charisma for the auras, so you can fit more auras in with the mana reservation. Let's do charms now to kind of explain how we're getting all this stuff over here. So Culling Strike and Fortify, this one's insanely broken. Culling Strike's really good and pretty mandatory, and Fortify's mandatory as well. So for the Fortify, you don't need a high percent chance to Fortify because you're hitting so much. You're hitting 15 times a second with melee strike, so every second pretty much you're going to be fully fortified. And just that one charm there is saving you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points is saved from one charm. Really good. This here, you just need to cap your spell suppress with it, so whatever spell suppress you need, just get that on there. And chance to get power and crit, which is like, look, 5 million DPS just from that. And that is constant, like you will have insta full power charges because you're hitting like 100 times a second with the balls. And they all crit obviously because you have 96% crit, so you're literally permanently full max power charges. If you don't need spell suppress, you can get other things on there. I'm not really sure what they are, but this was the best that I could find. And then this one's really good because the 8% leech pretty much gives you a better claw implicit on your sword, which is really good. And it makes it so your mana and life is like over 100 life a second. Over 100 life is instant, which is really good. So you don't have that little downtime where your leech is like charging up. You're literally just instant full HP, instant full HP. You go down instant right up because you're hitting so many times. The instant leech is really important. It's like life on hit. It's literally 100 life on hit. And then it's the same with the mana. Every time the balls hit your instant full mana, there's no like charging period where you have to wait around. It's really good. And then the thing that really makes this build flow a lot better is this Warcry mechanic. So normally when you're playing Berserker and you have Rage, you have like 5-10 seconds at the start of a map where you have no rage and it's a pain and you have to charge up your rage to actually be able to do damage, right? And to get some speed going. But with this, you just jump into a pack, Warcry, and you're instant 25 rage. That's enough rage just to get yourself going, and you can start flying. Especially on bosses, like I said before, a boss goes immune. You try to get yourself to around 30 rage. So when they come back into combat, you're about 24 rage. You use Warcry, and you're instant up to 50 rage, which is amazing because then you can just berserk and blast the boss. The way it works is it's not capped to 25 rage, it just adds 25 rage to whatever you have as long as you're below 25 rage. So the sweet spot is 24 rage, use that next to a boss, you get 25 extra rage, that's 49 rage for free just from this. Like obviously it doesn't show anything on PoB, you're like, oh that's useless, I'll just get something else that gives me more damage on PoB. But this is really useful, like quality of life, and makes it way smoother to play. So that's Charms. Let's maybe go on to look at this here. I'm not sure if I talked about this yet because I've recorded this 3 times now with my mic coming off, so that's why I'm also losing my voice. So yeah, this is the cluster jewel we take. I don't think I went down here on this recording, so let's fucking hope not. Right, so feed the fury, fuel the fight, martial prowess. This gives you all your leech, so you need this, and it makes you attack faster while you're leeching, which is brilliant because you're always leeching. This is the same with mana, brilliant because you're always gaining mana, you always need mana, and it makes you do more damage, which is really good. Attack speed too. These are literally the only way you leech life, leech mana, these two, so you need this. This just gives you attack speed and accuracy, amazing. This is literally all your damage. Without Secrets of Suffering, if we like take off these, which is what it gives you, you lose 10 million DPS, right? You lose the penetration, you lose the less damage taken, and you lose the crit. So this is really good. I don't know why more people don't use that. And then we have this little medium jewel cluster here. So that's damage, attack speed, really good, right? And we have like the normal small things like attributes, whatever, that doesn't matter really. You can just like cap off your attributes if you need a few little attributes. You can use these medium ones here. Same with this. And then eye to eye is really good because it's everything's always nearby to you because your molten balls are going like really short distance because we've used concentrate effect and we're using blood stance, so they're not going very far. Every ball is going to always be nearby, so this is literally a 60% increased damage modifier. And then for the Watcher's Eye, we're going to want additional physical damage reduction whilst affected by determination. Get the highest percent you can. Really, really broken. This is for sure the one you really need. And then the second best one's a precision one. You're going to want crit multi while you're affected by precision, attack damage, or attack speed. Crit multi is the best, attack damage is the second best, and attack speed is the third best. To get the determination one and the precision one with crit multi is expensive, so I've gone for the second best one. A little bit cheaper, and then the third one's usually useless. If you can find one with a third mod that's actually useful, then go for it, but it'll probably be really expensive. So that's that. Now let's go on to this jewel here. You want something with crit multi, 2 crit multis, life, and proj damage. The proj damage is completely optional. Like you can have res, you can have attributes, you can have attack speed. The only 3 you need is the life and the 2 crit multis. But remember, please remember that melee does not affect your balls. So you do not want crit multi with melee hits or anything like that, or anything to do with melee, because it doesn't affect your balls and it's completely useless. You need crit multi with fire, elemental, swords, two-handed, and just flat crit multi. They all work. So that's what you need, just as much crit multi as you can, because that's how we scale our damage, and the obviously percent max life. That's brilliant. And then lastly, with Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh, if we go over here, you want to either get Blitz, Rite of Ruin, or Aspect of Carnage, whichever is cheaper. You have to take this from the Ascendancy, you have to take this so you can get these, otherwise you won't be able to get both of them. So for example, if Blitz is the cheapest on the trade site, then we take that naturally, and then we get that with Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh. Same with this. If this is the cheapest, we take this naturally, and we get that. But because Rite of Ruin was the cheapest, I took all these naturally and got that from Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame. Right, I think that's everything. I think I've gone over literally everything possible. One thing I didn't mention in the Flask actually is when you have Mageblood, obviously you want increased effect enchant as well, and you want attack speed on one of them, crit on the other one, and this craft of regenerate 3% life per second during effect is really good for people that use rage, because in reality that's actually like 5-6% per second because of Mageblood, and that negates the damage you take from rage like permanently. Because we don't have that much life regen with this build, it's all leech. So when we're like running around and the boss is immune and we're getting chunked by our own rage, this like negates it completely. It's really good. So if you can get that crafted with Mageblood, and then obviously that one has increased armor. Yeah, so that's literally. I think I've covered everything. If I've missed something, please say in the comments and I can like give you an answer. I bloody love this build. Like, it's something I've genuinely made myself. Like, I've only played this game for 1,500 hours, which obviously to normal people sounds like a lot, but if you play PoE, you know that's not much at all. And every build I've ever made, I always like making my own stuff, and it just always seems to go bad. It goes wrong. Something's missing. You know, some piece of the puzzle's scuffed, and I can't do stuff. But this is the first time I've ever made a build, and it's actually like done well. Like, I've been able to complete everything in the game like comfortably. Like, Ubers aren't too difficult. Simulacrum 30 was quite easy. And I'm not a good player. Like, mechanically, I suck at this game. But even with this build, even though it's melee, I was able to do them like deathless. Like, I was able to do Maven deathless in Uber when I'm not good at the game with a melee build. So that like shows that the build's capable of doing stuff even if you're not very good. So yeah, I'm really actually quite proud of what I've done. Hopefully you guys like it, and I hope more people start playing this skill because it's really fun. Like, it looks really cool. You know, jumping around with a big sword, fire coming out and all that. But yeah, thanks for watching. And if you want any kind of other guide like how to make currency, like especially with like this type of builds or this build specifically, like how I made currency to get Mageblood and like Nimis and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, just put in the comments and I'll make one for you guys. Thank you very much for watching my first video on PoE. Hope you liked it, and catch you next time. See ya.
I cannot do this yet.
Let the blood dance begin. A veil of safety and security.
My mana is gone.
Handle this. Time to up the stakes. Grip of the infinite. Twin and dazzling display of survival.
One of my captors felt no emotion. He did not hesitate to inflict pain. Now, all he feels is intense, unstoppable agony. I cannot do this yet.
They are coming.
A contest of
This is the key.
time to up the stakes. Tight tethers.
My collection.
Stand up.
Pain will be returned tenfold. Space aligns. Behold my collection.
I will have what I want.
I cannot do
Death will
this
not
yet.
be an escape. Scurry, scurry.
My mana is gone.
Resistance will be punished. Time contorts. Scurry, scurry.
My irritation is growing. Do what I say. Death will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. A cascade of pain. How?
Stop resisting. Reality bends. Punishment inescapable.
Arrogant toy. Death will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Scurry, scurry.
I cannot do this yet.
Stand still. Death will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Stand still.
Caretaker, to me.
Leave. You force my hand again, little mouse. So be it. You've chosen to side with chaos. This is my world, and you shall obey my order. Embraced by misery, gaze into the abyss. Imperfect!
He's trying to recover. Hurry! Let's find a way back.
Behold the face of your unmaking!
Father, it's me. Let me help you.
The horror must be stopped. Obstacles destroyed. Ultimate chaos. Imperfect.
He's trying to recover. Hurry! Let's find a way back.
These memories are mine. I cannot lose them.
They lied to you, Father. I'm your true memory.
To save the future, the past must be sacrificed. Gaze into the abyss.